Hi, it's Wyndham. Why is change so hard? Unfortunately, there are lots of reasons why change is so hard. But I think, the fundamental reason is because at some point, change is going to require us to challenge the pillars that make the world make sense to us. Those beliefs, thoughts that we think we hold about the world, and then those thoughts and beliefs, the pillars that create and underpin our sense of self, our identity. At some point, when we want to create change in our life, we are going to have to go in search of those pillars, and we're going to have to pressure test them. And we are going to have to start finding the ones that are not true, that the experience of our life demonstrates not to be true. And we're going to have to replace them with new thoughts and new beliefs that enable change. The big challenge, the big reason change is so hard is until we have gone in search of and pressure tested those values, those beliefs, those thoughts, we are not living our lives in accordance with our own thoughts, our own beliefs. I talk about writing our own blueprint. Until we have specifically, deliberately, intentionally taken a deep look inside, got really connected with who we are, until we have done that, we are playing out thoughts, beliefs, our perception of the world, our perception of ourselves is something we've been given. Because for the first 5-6 years of our lives, we have no filter. We have no ability to hear things and judge them. We're just accepting this stuff. And this stuff is fundamental. And the amount we get filled up before we develop that ability to discern fundamentally underpins the rest of our lives until we go in search of them. But that's terrifying. Genuinely terrifying. When I really committed to the journey of self-discovery and getting deeply connected with who I am, and then looking to build the life after I'd figured that out, it was terrifying. You know, it started with the cracks in the pillar that I wasn't enough, that I couldn't do anything else. That was the trigger. That was the first one. But the big challenge I faced was, well, once I had pressure tested this single thought, this single thing I thought I believed, and I had disproved it, well, that then triggered the thought, well, what about all these other things I think I believe, but I've never tested, I've never checked. I just think a certain way, and I view the world in accordance with that. The reason it was terrifying is because I then had to go off in search. I felt I had no choice. I had to go in search of all these other things that were shaping my view of the world and shaping my view of myself and testing them. Now that is terrifying because I was 10 years married at that point. And I'm looking at these things. Well, I've never properly thought about whether I believe in marriage. That's a massive thing to undertake, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. I'm still married, by the way, so. But that's why change is hard. It requires us to be incredibly vulnerable. But what happens the other side of it is we are much more open. We are much more compassionate. We recognize that things change. Our experience in life changes us, and as such can change what we think and what we believe. If we are not willing to update our beliefs and our thoughts, then we are trapped as the person we were when that first happened. So change is hard because it requires big things of us. And I promise you, as difficult and painful and uncertain as that process is, there is, from my own experience, a far greater sense of peace the other side of it. So which is that first pillar for you? If you've arrived at that point in your life where you're going, something has to change, something isn't right, this doesn't feel, I'm a bit lost, I don't know how to create what I want, I don't even know what I want. How many of those core things you believe, the thoughts that you think you have, how many of those have you actually tested? How many of those have you exerted pressure on to expose their fault lines? And how clear are you on what your life experience and who you are could be shaping your thoughts and your beliefs? The way we see the world depicts and limits what we can do. So if at the moment you're feeling too restricted, you're feeling like there has to be more but you can't see it, maybe we need to drop down and start pressure testing those things we think are our core beliefs. I leave you with that. I wish you a peaceful and joyful few days, and I will speak to you again soon.